Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. In this quick guitar tricks we're looking at 5 cool or at least interesting sweeps based in B minor, with each lick using a different technique or idea to help make your sweep picking feel a bit less dull, uninspired or, by the book. You can find a jam track in the relevant key of B minor with the iCard up in that right hand corner. So by the end of this you should have 5 new sweeping phrases, licks you can play in B minor and an idea of how to apply these switched up techniques to your own arpeggio lead lines. Stick around until the end of the video to make sure you get them all. As usual, timestamps for each section are in the video's description and that pinned comment below. If you appreciate these tutorials complete with tabs, timestamps and thorough breakdowns, then let me know by clicking like and leaving a comment. Any sort of interaction really is a huge help to the channel. A vaguely John Petrucci idea here, at least I think Dream Theater is where I've stolen this idea from. Based on this B minor arpeggio, the C-shaped one, so if you know your cage system, I've covered these shapes in my Aeolian lesson, which you can check out with the eye up there. However, instead of trilling the 10th to the 14th frets and coming back down like we normally do, what we're doing here is picking at the 14th fret. In this example, I opted to pick it 3 times, so we're just going up, hammering on, and then picking this note 3 times using triplets, and then once more followed by a pull off. You can pick more, or you could even trem pick it for a more sporadic sound. It's a bit trickier to do because it's not quite as rigid, so you just want to make sure you're ending on the right beat and that your pick is orientated in the correct way. So what I'm doing is plucking this 10th fret with a downstroke when I've come through the sweep, hammering on, alternate picking this 14th fret after that, so up, down, down, then pull off. Make sure to upward pick slant here, so more on that with the lesson card in the top right hand corner, and come back down as you would, just usually. So just to reiterate that, we're doing a kind of normal sweep down through these strings. We get to the 10th fret, we're hammering on the 14th, alternate picking the triplet, one more note which is a down pick, and on this you want to rotate your pick so it's ready to come up, pull off, and then just sweep upward through the arpeggio. So in terms of the notes here, what we have is the root, the flat third, the 5th, the root, the flat third, hammering on to the 5th, pick it 4 times, pulling off to the flat third, root, 5th, flat third, root. So the main trick here is this kind of trem picking, or at least repeating the note at the peak of the sweep. You could, however, try this on any note, even the ones in the middle. Okay, starting off it's the same as before with these first 3 notes, down, down, down. Then we make use of wider spaced intervals, a more modern rock or kind of metal sound, perhaps a hint of Steve Vai here. In terms of the technique, I'm sweeping down through these first 3 notes, sliding with my first finger up the G string, then stretching out to use probably my second finger here on the B string, and then my little finger taking care of this 22nd fret on the high E, the last downstroke, but just use whatever fingering feels best for you. Then I'm angling my pick like this, ready to sweep back down in pitch, so I'm hitting this 19th fret again, sliding down to the 15th fret, pulling off to the 12th. So here, angling your wrist so your fingers are kind of pointing towards you like this way might help. If your wrist's straight, this is probably going to be quite a difficult pull off. By straight, I mean kind of pointing this way. Obviously, you want to keep your wrist straight, kind of this way. So angling the fingers this way might make this pull off a little bit easier. So after that, sweeping up through the 16th fret on the G and the D strings. You might want to bar your finger and roll it across here. I prefer using two different fingers. And then what we've got here is a final upstroke onto the A string. And then we're pulling off. As a side note, you could swap around these legato moves. So what you could do is pull off 19 to the 15th and slide down to the 15th. I just kind of preferred the sound of the slide followed by the pull off. These little things you can tweak about with and play them in different ways and, you know, really make these licks your own. So root, flat third, 5th, sliding to the root, 5th, flat third. This unusual interval spacing, we're going from here. This is why it sounds a bit kind of spacey or alien. On the way back down, we have this 5th, which I'm sliding down to the flat third. You could pull off there if you wanted. But what I did then was pulled off to the root. All on the B string. So a bit of a bonus trick for you here actually. You can play an arpeggio all on one string. We could even tap the 24th fret. So you've got the root, flat third and 5th. So you can actually do an arpeggio all on one string. And like I say, we could tap the 24th fret. And then you've got a full arpeggio all on the one string. Bonus tricks everywhere today. So yeah, back on track. We're playing the root here, like I said. And then we're playing it again on a different string. So a very Steve Vai trick to bust out indeed. More on that topic with the lesson card up there. Again, we're sweeping through to the 5th, down to the flat third, and then pulling off to the root. As you've likely deduced, the main idea here is these wide slides and the use of wider intervals. It's still conforming to the notes of the card though. This one is maybe a bit like Paul Gilbert's string-skipped tapped arpeggios, except we're using neither of those techniques. Starting off pretty much like before, we're sweeping down through these first 4 notes. Sliding with the second finger going from the 12th to the 15th fret and back to the 12th fret on this B string. You then have a bit of a choice here. Now I tend to keep a downward pick slant, hop over the G string and kind of sweep down through it. So I'd go like this, and use that time to kind of hop back over the string, keeping my pick orientated this way. You could, however, rotate after the B string and hit the 11th fret with an upstroke, then rotate back to how you were before, ready to sweep through the B string. I find that slows me down a bit, so just for good measure, you'd be going... But like I say, I find this is a bit extra motion than you need, and it does tend to slow me down. So what I do is I say hop over the G string, I sweep down through that, continue with a downstroke through the B and the high E strings, then another wide slide. So like before, we're just hitting the string once, then going 10, 14, 10 in one fluid motion. So during this slide, or just after, you want to get your pick angled ready for the upstrokes. So first we have the B, where we do the same slide as before. We're going 12, 15, 12. Then sweep upwards through the G, D and A strings. Again, really sticking to the chord tones. Root, flat third, 5th. Root sliding to the flat third, back to the root. We then have the flat third on the E string, sliding up to the 5th, back down to the flat third. We then have the root, flat third, root slide again. 5th, flat third, and then resolving back to the root. So not skipping the intervals like that last lick, but here the wide slides really help give us a more out or spacey type sound. So hopefully it's become apparent that even with the same notes, the same B minor arpeggio shape, and the basic underlying technique of sweep picking, with a few tweaks here and there, you can get a whole host of new sounds. Yes, so the addition here is using this slide as a kind of short trill between intervals, and also going through the arpeggio in stages rather than one fell swoop. I think I first heard this from Chris Green, but Rick Graham, Frank Gambale, and perhaps John Petrucci are probably also points of reference. So here we start the sweep as usual with the first three notes just being downs. And then I'm doing an upstroke on this G string, so this note's getting doubled. Now here what you could do is continue this upward motion and go through the 12th fret on the D, rotate the pick back around and go down on the G. Like I said before, I find this a bit too fiddly and I prefer to do my kind of method from before. So I'm going to go down, 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 up, and then continue with this pattern, this down, 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 up. So what I did in that last group there is I'm going to use my first finger to roll between the 11th frets on the G and the B strings. You could use different fingers, but I find this flows fairly nicely. Then continuing with this picking pattern, so another triple down up. And if this picking pattern feels a bit weird or unorthodox, you should check out my double down up lesson for a really good starting point. You can find that with the I link up there. So we then have a position shift to finish this off, but again the same picking pattern. Down, 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 up. Like I say, you can play the first note from the second, third and fourth groupings of the notes up there with an upstroke, but like I say, this just kind of slows me down a bit. I find it too fiddly. So the music theory here is, you've probably guessed, we've got a root, flat third, fifth, the fifth again. In the next grouping we have the flat third, the fifth, the major seventh. So what we've done is borrowed a note from the harmonic minor here, which helps contribute to that neoclassical sound we've got going on. Then we have the root, the fifth, sweeping to the root, flat third, fifth, position shift, and I'll give you a few seconds if you want to work out what this last group is. Feel free to pause the video. Okay, we have the root, flat third, fifth, and then the root. Just a standard sweep picked arpeggio to round it up. So the main ideas here are breaking the arpeggio into stages, a bit like the last one, borrowing from the harmonic minor, rhythmic variation, so how we have that last note for a little bit longer each time. This triple down up picking pattern, using a position shift as well, and highlighting that you don't have to come back down in the sweep at the end, you can end the lick on the highest note of the arpeggio as well. Alright, this one is probably my favourite of the bunch. I just find it falls into my fingers quite nicely. I just really like the sound of it. You can keep it quite smooth and clean, or you can really kind of dig in for some aggression. It sounds pretty good both ways with a bit of palm mute and that sort of thing. Making good use of the triple down trick we learned and we just looked at, whilst adding in some pull-offs. So yeah, we have down, 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 up. Then a pull-off. We repeat this idea, but playing the 14th fret instead of the 12th. I'll touch on those notes in a little bit. We then move to the next section of the arpeggio, playing a much more familiar and standard sweep. So here we're going down, 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 hammer, pull off. Now during this bit legato, you want to think about angling the pick upward, ready for the preceding upstrokes, which will just be up, 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 up. And maybe some nice wide vibrato on that last note just to finish it off. So starting off in the same way as always here, we've got the root, the flat third, fifth. We've then got this 12th fret, which is the flat sixth, implying an Aeolian or indeed Phrygian sound, pulling back after the fifth. Then an almost identical sweep, going root, flat third, fifth. This time going up to the flat seventh. And then pulling back down to the fifth. So we're getting that kind of more laid back minor seventh arpeggio type of sound. Even if it's just for one note, it does make a bit of a difference. So like I said, we pull back off to the fifth. Then we've got the real textbook stuff. We're going from the flat third up to the fifth, to the root, flat third, hammer to the fifth, pull off to the flat third, root, fifth, flat third, root. So the main idea is here that triple down up, using notes which imply a mode or can extend the chord, using those small legato trills halfway through the arpeggio, those instead of just at the top, and this helps build some tension, and of course showing that there's nothing wrong with textbook sweeps here as well, because they just sound cool. Arguably defeating the point of my lesson somewhat, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the standard stuff. To my ears, it's nice to be able to mix it up if you feel like it. After all, a new sound is just another colour on the palette to help shade in your own unique modus operandi. So those were 5 sweep picked arpeggios in B minor. This has been Quick Guitar Tricks, that's the playlist there. For more sweeping tricks, check out this English lesson. But yeah, hit subscribe to keep up to date with the channel, leave me a comment, share with your fellow musicians, and enable notifications by ringing the little bell on the side if you feel so inclined. Cheers guys.